Running. Do you hate it? Do you think it's too hard? Did you know it doesn't have to be?
Today, we're going to learn about running.
You're listening to the Pathway Podcast, leading you on the path to fitness success. Here are your hosts, Jonathan Canales and Rex Andrews.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pathway Podcast. I'm Rex.
I'm Susie.
Obviously, not Jonathan. This is a special edition of the Pathway Podcast today, guys. We got Jonathan here in spirit, little golf ball format. Jonathan is out sick, and it's a special time of the year in which people start getting ready for the Houston Marathon. And so it's the middle of July. What better time to start running in Houston, right, Susie?
Exactly. Heat stroke 101. How to avoid it.
That's right. So today on the podcast, we have Susie Downs. Susie is a Pathway coach. She's been with us the last 5 or 6 months and has been the director of Kingwood Fit, which is a running group here in the local area that trains people to get ready for their first marathon or their 10th marathon or whatever, right? So they start in July, and then you guys run the marathon in Houston in January, right?
Exactly. So we have about 28-week training program that helps us get from anywhere from a beginner who has never run a mile in their life all the way to marathon ready for the January Chevron Houston Marathon.
When I ran the marathon in 2020, I signed up for Kingwood Fit. You probably never saw me because I never came, but I used the training plan from Kingwood Fit, and it helped me be prepared, and I got to run exactly the race I wanted to without having to stress about it. So the training plan is super legit, and it's amazing because before that I'd been running a little bit, but I think 5 miles was I'm dead. This is trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing to see how a well-structured training program can just easily step you up week to week where you're not really overwhelmed by how much you're training.
Exactly. I think that a lot of times we notice that people assume that if they can't even run 1 mile, that running 13 in a half marathon or much less 26 in a full marathon is a barrier that can't be overcome. And I love that Kingwood Fit helps kind of shatter those barriers, knowing that you don't have to be an expert runner. You don't have to be an elite athlete, that anybody can do it. And I think that that's what I love about Kingwood Fit is taking any person and getting them marathon ready, kind of helping them see that it's limitless. You can do anything. Yeah,
for sure. I love running so much because I feel like you have to earn enjoying it. For everybody, that first mile, when you start running, it's man, this is insanely hard. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to stick to this. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to run 3 miles, 5 miles. But you just have to keep showing up. And if you show up for just a couple weeks, all of a sudden you're oh, wow, that wasn't that hard.
Right, exactly. And it's not just the physical barriers because, Rex, even athletes who have been doing them forever, you get to that mile 18 and everybody hits a wall.
Yeah.
There's always that physical barrier where your legs you're confident that you can't take one more step. But then there's also the mental barriers of knowing that running a marathon is much more of a mental battle than a physical battle. And if we can help not only strengthen the muscles to get your muscles ready for something that you're going to do, enduring 26 miles, but also having that mental strength of knowing, okay, I know that I'm going to hit a barrier. So what do I do to overcome that? How can I have my brain muscle just as strong as my leg muscles and my arm muscles? So that's something that Kingwood Fit does to come alongside of any runner, any walker, any athlete of any pace, to help them not just overcome those physical barriers, but also those mental barriers as well.
That's what I'm talking about. You talk about overcoming mental barriers. Let's take a step back and talk about your history with running, because some people are 13 miles is insane.
Right.
26 miles, that's insane. But I know you're we're getting started at 26 miles.
Right.
So what's your history with what are some of the big accomplishments you've had from running?
Yeah, for sure. So, when I was in high school, I ran cross country for a little while, but then after college and then kind of those years after that, I didn't run much at all. And so I really got out of that game. I really lost that muscle memory that I had gained. I kind of went all the way back to square one, which was at that point really discouraging. I'm talking square one, I couldn't run a mile. I was running from okay, my goal is to run one time around the block, but let's even just get from this stoplight to the next stoplight. Let's get from one mailbox to the next mailbox. I'm talking, we were back to square one. And at that point, I hadn't found Kingwood Fit yet. And it was extremely difficult to have that mental fortitude to know, I can do this. I can run around this block one time. I can get back into shape. I can get back into the running game. And I think just kind of starting to see small victories and learning to recognize and to celebrate every single one of those small victories of, okay, yesterday I made it 2 mailboxes. Let's try to make it 4 mailboxes today. And then, getting to a mile and then getting back into doing a 5K, just those really small steps and knowing like every single one of those small steps deserves to be celebrated. And then about that time, I was pretty confident with my 5K game, and I found Kingwood Fit, and these crazy runners, like insane people were saying, of course you can run 13 miles. Like, yeah, you can do 3 miles. Obviously you can do 13.
Easy step up.
Right, exactly. And I was like, you are insane. Like, there's no way. And that's what I love about Kingwood Fit is that they kind of planted this little seed, this idea, this dream, this goal in my mind that I didn't think that I could accomplish, but I had these amazing friends around me who for some reason believed that I could do something that I didn't think I could. And then having that fellowship, having those friends, that community help me, train me to every single week be out there in rain or shine to teach me how to do it with me, to help me with the nutrition side of things. And then I began, if I can run 13 miles, why not a full marathon? Why not 26? And that, kind of got the ball rolling for me in my own story of then I found trail running, and it was, it was downhill from there. And so it's been incredible, I think, seeing when I didn't even think I could run 1 mile, and now I'm able to do ultra marathons and, running 50 miles.
Yeah, that's it. You can't just breeze over that. It's like you've ran the Hot 100, right?
Yeah, Habanero 100.
Which is how many miles?
So it's 100K, so it was 63 miles.
63 miles in August.
In August.
In Texas.
It was insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a learning experience, but I think, people talk about the runner's high, and that is definitely a true thing. Like when you see that you can cross one finish line that you never thought you could finish, you never thought you could cross, then it's like, well, if I can do that, what else can I do? Like, it's limitless. And if I can run 100K, I bet I could run 100 miles. Let's go for it. Let's try it.
Man, yeah, I think that's certainly addicting. Just accomplishing goals is addicting, right? And I love that as a coach of like seeing somebody come in and they're like, well, I just want to lose a few pounds, or like,
sure.
I just want to be able to run a mile. But then they do that, and then it's like instantaneous. As soon as you accomplish one goal, you're like, okay, what's next?
Exactly.
And it has to be bigger. It has to go,
yes.
It has to go to the next
yes.
thing, right? Because we just never can settle and be like, nah, it's fine.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So yeah, it's definitely addicting, and I love there's all these gateways into healthier, and running's a great one, strength training's a great one, but yeah, you have to find the thing that like drives you to want to keep pushing to the next level, right?
Exactly. Yeah, knowing that why, knowing that reason, like what got you started in the first place, and holding on to that, because reality is that you're going to hit physical walls where, like I said, like you're pretty sure your knees are going to give out with any step coming up. Or even those mental barriers where you're sure that like, okay, I've got 10 more miles. I definitely can't do this. I'm pretty sure I'm out. Like I can't. And like learning how to overcome those things, is huge. And
yeah, it is such a mental game. Like you're right. Mile 18 on the marathon. I remember like I was feeling pretty good, and I'm running, and then like you're crossing this bridge, and you see all these people laid on the side of the bridge and like stretching their hamstrings, and doctors are getting with people, and I'm like, am I hurt? Do my knees hurt? Like, and you start like questioning yourself, like, I'm not even able to make it. Like, if these people can't make it, why can I make it? Right?
Exactly.
So you have to like be able to get out of your head and just go like, nope, just like keep trusting the process. And
right.
If things break down, like you'll know.
Exactly. But holding on to that why of knowing like there was a reason why I started this journey in the first place.
Yeah, I'm not going to quit now.
That's what's going to get me through. Yeah. And for me, my why, I don't know, maybe others can relate, but when I initially started that journey of running, I was just not only like physically in a rough spot, but I also was mentally in a really dark place. And so for me, like, it was a victory of saying, okay, you know what, Susie, I know that you would rather stay in bed right now. I know that you would rather just do nothing, but let's just try. Let's just try to run for 5 minutes. Let's just get outside, get in the sun. Let's just try to push our bodies. And what I found was when I kind of allowed myself to get out of my head for a little bit, like I began finding this purpose that I never thought I had. And then like having those goals and finding that purpose of, okay, yesterday we got half a mile. Let's see if today we can get another mile. And what I found is that even though I was really in a dark spot, struggling with depression, not wanting to take one more step or one more breath, and how I kind of met God in that place. And I began learning, like, he began instilling in me a purpose that I didn't realize was even there, and a passion for life and this excitement for life that I don't think I would have found if I hadn't taken that first step. And was that first step hard? Like, oh yeah, it was rough. Like, yeah, it definitely was a hard journey, but knowing that, being able to learn about myself, learn about what I'm able to do, what I'm capable of, and being able to find God in that dark place and allowing him to kind of pull me out of that depression through running. I guess when I think about that, like that's one of my motivations for Kingwood Fit, of knowing, there might be other people struggling in the same way I did. There might be other people who are struggling with depression where it's like, I think I'm just going to stay in my PJs all day long. Like, why not? And if I know that I was able to find myself and get more, get closer to God through running, then maybe other people can too. Maybe I can help facilitate a organization or help facilitate an environment where people can find health and wellness, get out of that dark headspace with depression and anxiety, maybe get closer to God along the way and find new whys, find new goals. If I can help facilitate a platform that can do that, if I was healed in that way, I know that other people can be healed in that way as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing to be able to bring God into that. I think a really cool thing too that you said there is like finding your passion for life, not just for the exercise, right?
Exactly.
It translates to everything. And I think it's just when you have a goal and you have something that you're fired up about, like it's obviously going to translate into other aspects of your life.
Right.
And something like running, it's like, why would I run a marathon? It's a crazy goal. Like, yes, it is a crazy goal. That's kind of part of the purpose, right? It is something super difficult to accomplish, but the point is to get good at doing difficult things.
Exactly.
You push yourself to be able to do something that you thought was impossible, like you thought was way too difficult for you to do, and you show yourself that you can do it. Well, then you know that it's like, there's this quote from this guy, Miyamoto Musashi. He's I probably butchered that, but he's a samurai, and he wrote this book called The Book of Five Rings. But he had this saying, once you see the way narrowly, you can see it broadly in all things. So if you figure out how to accomplish something impossible just using your body to run a marathon, and you know that you can accomplish things that you thought were totally impossible, there's no reason why that can't translate into your personal life, into your professional life, and find new passion to accomplish bigger and better things.
Exactly. That's awesome. Yeah. And it can be any type of goal. For me, at the beginning, it was, okay, my goal is going to be maybe run a little bit, but get out of bed. Then my goal is, okay, let's put on some actual clothes. Okay, now let's try to run a mile. Okay, now, and then that goal gets bigger and bigger, and you begin to realize, maybe I can run a marathon. I never thought I could before, but maybe I can.
And having that community of people who are giving you that positive peer pressure, like,
yes,
you can
it's essential for sure.
For
it's
sure.
Definitely essential, especially, when you are trying to take on the idea of training for a marathon and you get up to that higher mileage, running 18 miles by yourself, it's not fun. Like doing it solo, it is a struggle doing it solo. Getting out of the house and deciding, okay, I'm going to go run 21 miles. That is hard to do alone. And I love the community that Kingwood Fit has of having all of these people like-minded. Some of them walk, some of them run, some of them mix the two where they'll run for 5 minutes and walk a minute. But you have people doing it with you. You have a family. And what I found doing my first half marathon with Kingwood Fit is I didn't just find, these people that were kind. Like I found lifelong friends. And, it's funny, but we say, what happens out on the trails, it stays on the trails because like you become family. And in those moments where you are convinced that you can't take another step, when you're absolutely positive, like I definitely can't make it back. Like you're going to have to carry me back. And having these people, this camaraderie, this cheering you on, it makes all the difference in overcoming not only those physical barriers, but those mental barriers as well, of knowing for some reason, I don't know why, but they believe in me and I can't give up because I don't know why they believe in me, but they do. And it becomes, okay, let's do this together. Let's conquer this beast together. And
yeah, there's this cool thing. I read somewhere in coaching there's a lot of times people get in their own way of self-doubt, right? Like we don't believe in ourselves, right. And that's just kind of across the board, but we believe in other people. Right?
Yes.
So like you and your friend might be on the exact same level of like neither one of us can run. And if they say, I'm going to run a marathon, you're like, yeah, absolutely you can do it. But you don't believe that you could do it, right? But if we do it together, I might not believe in myself, but I believe in the group.
Exactly.
And I think that together we can accomplish this. And that's crazy how it works. It just like shifts the responsibility where it's just like on you to accomplish it yourself.
Right.
And bringing other people on the team.
Yeah.
Same thing we do here at Pathway with like giving people goals and helping them work on their nutrition and helping them work on strength training, right? Of just showing them like, this is how you implement this into your life. Here's how you make it work for you. and just keeping people accountable to continue to work and not let those setbacks derail you, right?
Right. And I love that about Kingwood Fit is that it is a 28 week training program. And so, last season we had somebody who decided to train with us, and he, like I was in the beginning, had never run a mile, and he had signed up for the half marathon. And even in his own mind, beginning that journey, he, I would say almost majority of the way mentally did not think he could do it. But he had this family around him that not only was cheering on, it wasn't like we were cheering on from the sidelines, like we were physically running with him. We were alongside with him in that journey. And it was incredible to see each time coming back after the route, after the run, of being able to see those little victories and that confidence build a little bit of, I never ran 3 miles before without stopping, and I just did it, and being able to see that confidence boost, and then getting into, okay, I don't know if I can do this 10-mile route. I don't know, Coach Susie. I don't know if and being able to kind of bolster that confidence in him, and then us doing it together of, maybe you don't think you can run this 10-mile route, but I got you. Like, I know you can do this. Like, let's do it together. And then I think being able to watch him cross that finish line of the Chevron Marathon, and not just seeing in his face that, oh my goodness, what did I just do? What did I just accomplish? I can't believe I did that. But then, it just bolsters the camaraderie of the whole group as a whole of, he didn't think he could, and he did. How many times in life do we not think that we can, that if we just try, if we just take that first step, if we just commit that, maybe I can do this. Is it going to be hard? Like, yeah, for sure it's going to be hard. Like, training for a marathon, Rex, it's not easy. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, come join Kingwood Fit. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Like, it's not. It sucks. It's hard. But we can do hard things. And I think that that's something that I love to be able to tell my runners is it is going to be rough. Your muscles are going to hurt. Like, you will sweat. I probably along the way during some of those runs, you might cry. Like, I get it. I've been there too. But you can do this. And then being able to kind of just watch those glass ceilings shatter of, you can do more than you ever thought you could. You can, if your mind is in the game, if you got that strong mental strength, your body might give out long before your mind will. So strengthen that mind, get that mindset in place, and cling to your why. Don't give up on your why, because your body is going to say, just stop, don't do it. And if you can hold on to that why of why you started in the first place, there's no telling what you can accomplish.
Oh, man. That's good stuff, Susie. Okay, so you talked about having that big why, and I'm with you 100%. Like, you have to have like a transformative why, right? Like an anchor into, like, this is something I've always wanted to accomplish, and I got to like push myself to do that. But sometimes we have those like surface level whys, like, I just want to like lose a few pounds,
right.
Or I just need to start exercising or something like that. Those things, it's way easier to let yourself off the hook of. If you really want to start doing something, if you've been like, maybe I should sign up for the marathon, there's probably a deeper reason why you really want to do that. And taking the time to like break that down and think through that is going to help serve you a lot. But now when it comes to running, there are a lot of like misconceptions, right?
Right, yeah.
Like big myths. I think one of them is that if I just start running, I'll lose a bunch of weight. Do you get that a lot with the people who sign up?
Yeah, or even that's their main goal, is just to lose weight. And yeah, it's definitely a myth that I think a lot of us all struggle with, of thinking that this is my goal, just to lose weight. Like, that's all that I want to accomplish.
Yeah. I would say if you just want to lose weight, probably a better place to start is working on your diet, right?
Right.
You can't outwork a bad diet. You can't outrun a bad diet.
No, you can't.
If you go run 13 miles and you hit up Whataburger and you drink a couple beers, like, it ain't working.
No.
There's a balance, and you can definitely still enjoy yourself. Like, I'll tell you, when I was running for the marathon, Saturdays when I do my long runs, I would crave a Love Street from Carbuck beer so bad. I'd have one beer after. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Then you get back on your protein shakes and you're back in the game. Right?
Yeah.
You definitely have to work on your nutrition game. Fueling for runs is a huge thing too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely understanding that your body is doing a lot. You're putting out a lot of calories in that time, and you need to refuel. You need to rehydrate. And so nutrition, just in general, not just while you're not training, but then also during that run, is essential for your success.
Yeah. Also, the big spaghetti dinner before runs.
Yeah.
That's not really that's not a necessity, right?
No, definitely not a necessity.
If you're doing an Ironman, you probably want a carb load. But
right.
If you're just like a general runner and you're like, oh, I got 10 miles tomorrow, I better just load it up. You're probably going to be feeling a little more sluggish than you need
Exactly.
to, right?
Exactly. Maybe avoid the garlic bread.
Yeah. So, nutrition is a big part of it. You want to make sure that you're incorporating that, or if you're doing this for weight loss, that's not going to be the main outcome that you get out of this.
Right.
And then I think a lot of times people just have a bad conception going into running. Probably a lot of people are not going to listen to this podcast. You're like, oh, running? No.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Why do you think that most people feel so negative about running going into it?
I mean, it could be, things in their past, so when I was in high school, like I said, I was in both cross country and in track. And, at times, like, running did feel like a punishment. Like, if you aren't doing great in other areas, like, just running wasn't fun. And if you're not enjoying it, you just kind of take that enjoyment out of it. You lose that motivation pretty quickly. If you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a huge thing. I remember like playing baseball and anytime like you miss a ball and they're like, all right, start running. And like, why? Like, we don't even have to run for this sport that much.
Right, exactly.
So so it's like it was a punishment, or it was it's hard, right? It's so hard to get started running, because as soon as you go, if you're not conditioned for it,
exactly,
you feel your knees and you feel your ankles,
exactly,
your back starts getting tight. You're like, oh man, I am just bad at this. I suck at running, right?
Yeah. I suck at it, so I should just never do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, obviously.
How am I possibly going to get better at this one? Is so uncomfortable, right?
Right. But, there's a lot of other aspects to it. Like you said, the nutrition is definitely going to help. You definitely can't out-train a bad diet. But also adding other things in there as well, like the strength training, stretching. I was surprised, honestly, that how many times people might just like, go out for a run, let's just go tackle 10 miles, and they don't even stretch beforehand. They don't do any type of like getting your body ready. Yeah. And it definitely is going to make the run a lot worse. It's going to make it a lot harder if you're not integrating these other aspects, these other, pillars to help not just your running game, but overall, your overall health, your overall health lifestyle. For sure.
Definitely want to jump more into like the strength training side of things, bread and butter, right? That's,
right.
But I think like another thing, what do you think about just like people just getting outside their comfort zone, pushing themselves?
Yeah, I think when we talk about mindset in general, that's definitely a huge thing. I heard this quote one time that it was explaining the idea of your comfort zone, and it was saying that the less that you push outside of your comfort zone begins to shrink. And I thought about that. It's really interesting that if I'm never willing to push past those barriers of what's comfortable, then what becomes comfortable begins to get a smaller and smaller and smaller zone until it gets to the point where I'm so comfortable with how I am, I'm not willing to compromise my comfort. And I begin to shrink. Like, that zone begins to shrink. And that's a scary thought. Like, it is scary. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely hard. It takes hard work to push outside your comfort zone. But at the same time, if we never do, we're risking a lot. And
do you know what they call that zone?
What?
So if you have your comfort zone where like you're kind of complacent, right? Like you're happy with it.
Right. Yeah.
To push outside of that is the growth zone.
I like that.
Yeah, you're continuing to expand the boundaries of what your comfort zone are, right?
That's awesome. That makes sense.
Go too far. We can get to where we start to get really uncertain of ourselves, and like we risk like hurting ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
But there's a huge space of growth zone, and that's like the spot where you're motivated, you're pushing yourself, like you're reading more. Like
exactly.
You want to keep developing.
Yeah, we don't want to become stagnant. Stagnant water is where the mosquitoes breed, and you don't want to become stagnant. We don't want our lives
to become... That's the quote of the show. Stagnant water is where the mosquitoes breed.
Exactly. There you go.
Amazing. I remember one time when I was training, I was doing wrestling in Japan, right? And I was training in this dojo, and I'm, so everybody's speaking Japanese, and then I don't know what we're doing. Like we come out of the dojo, we get to the bottom of the stairs, and we're in Tokyo, we're in the city, and they're talking in Japanese, and then this one guy turns to me and says, "We're gonna run until you see the white truck." Okay, so I have no idea how far we're going. I don't know anything. I don't know like where we are in the city, and we just start running, and we're starting to like go over these hills, right? And I don't know, it feels like forever because we're doing naked running, no like tracking or anything like that, right? So it feels like forever. And then like 3 hills away, I see the white truck. Oh, thank God, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like now I know how far I have to run to. And like we had looped back, so now we're like close to where the dojo was. I can see the white truck in the distance. And every single time when you're on a run, right? Tell me if this is true. When you're on the last mile, it is the hardest mile.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm at the end of the run. This is everything that I possibly have. So I see the white truck. I feel like this is everything that I have. I'm exhausted. We're running in a group together. and then we come down the hill, we come up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, and then like the truck's right there. We come down the hill, and just as we start to come up to it, they just take the truck off. And he turns around, looks at me, and says, keep running until we see white truck.
That's so sad. That's awful.
But it pushes you outside your comfort zone,
it does.
right? Because you feel like you've given everything you have, but you're like, okay, well, like I have to go that much further.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it turns out like we could run that much further, right?
Yeah.
And we were just as tired at the end of like getting to the truck the second time than we would have been the first time. It's like it shows you there's different gears in your head. Like
exactly.
If you think that is all you have, odds are you got a lot more to give, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Did you steal the keys to the white truck so they couldn't keep on moving it?
Can't drive in Japan. It's the other side of the road. It was all weird.
That's fair.
But yeah. So you started, strength training is pretty new to you, right?
It is. So, I thought, I saw the benefit of that cardio. I saw what improvements running could make. And I know like logically in my head that cardio isn't all that you need. We can't, you can't just go run a marathon without adding in other elements. And so I discovered Pathway, and, working out with you guys has been amazing. I always joke that my little twig arms, like we definitely, I'm not bench pressing, very much yet. And it, we talk about mindset. It has not been easy. And I think, running is my comfort zone. Like running is what I'm comfortable with. And so for me, a lot of ways, strength training and getting out there in a new way has been really uncomfortable. And my muscles have been screaming in ways that I never thought that they would scream, and it's been hard and it has sucked, and I'm pretty sure I've complained a lot along the way. But
living in that growth zone though, right?
right, exactly. Pushing through. But it's crazy that I've seen so many gains in my running because of this strength training that it honestly surprised me. I'm going to be honest. Like doing the strength training has killed me, and it has been painful, and it has been really hard, but I've seen how it has benefited my running. And so it's definitely something that kind of shattered some of those mindsets that I had, that if you want to become a great runner, like obviously running is key to that. But I think that we also need to consider those other tenets as well. You have to consider nutrition, and strength training for me was a hard one. But it has improved me. I've seen my times go down. I've been able to see gains in my running because of pushing through in strength training. And has it been easy? No, not at all. But it's made a lot of great strides, a lot of great improvements. That's
awesome. And strength training is so good for performance. I mean, just creating more power, right? Like being
exactly
stronger, being able to do more. But it's also so big for injury prevention.
Yes.
Because one of the most common things in running is hamstring injuries, right?
Right.
Because you're just constantly, every time that you land in a step, your hamstring's absorbing that. So if you're not training your hamstrings, if you're not stretching them, if you're not making them stronger, then that's why like those give out on you so often, right? Because they're just not prepared for the volume that you're giving it. So tight hips, of course, like we're running, we're just like flexing our hip all the time. So if you're not doing things to counterbalance that, like working your glutes, stretching your hips out, that's where a lot of overuse injuries come from in running. Shin splints. 90% of the time, shin splints are easily avoidable if you just have a good stretching routine and a good strength training routine to go with your running. Right?
Exactly, which I think, that is one of the myths of, my knees can't give in, my knees aren't strong enough to do running, or it's really difficult. But, when we add those elements of those strength training and you're able to kind of target some of those areas, it does influence your running, and it does kind of help break through some of those barriers of thinking, obviously my knees aren't really great. Obviously I can't run. Obviously I can't do this. But when you add those other elements, it's surprising. It surprised me with my running of how much it has improved. And so it's important. It's definitely an element that I think a lot of runners get in their head of thinking, if I want to become a better runner, just run. But no, there are other elements that when we add into it, it's surprising how much it helps.
Yeah. I love that. So just having like a holistic approach to running.
Exactly.
And there's seasons for this kind of stuff, right? Seasons for training for a marathon. But same thing, I used to train some Ironman athletes, and it was so difficult for them to make time because they're spending so much time running, spending so much time swimming, cycling. So strength training was like the first thing to fall off the list, which makes sense because, again, in the world of like specificity, you have to focus on what is specifically important for you. So if you're training for your first marathon and you got to run 3 days a week, probably getting in the gym 3 days a week is tough. You don't have to do that, right? But be doing enough like maintenance on the side. Like make sure that you're still stretching. Make sure that yoga could be great for you, right?
Exactly.
And then once that season ends, you have time open back up for you, then you can, make some more time to add that strength training in to boost you up for the next season.
Right.
Yeah. So just being able to think through that kind of stuff. Nutrition, you always got to eat.
Yes.
Should always be working on a nutrition game, right? Perfect. Susie, so again, it's been great to have you on the team here at Pathway. I'm glad that we could have a little introduction to the internet world.
Welcome, world.
Welcome. Welcome to the world of Susie Downs. It's been really cool having you here with us at Pathway. You've grown so much as a trainer.
Thank
That's
you.
been really cool. And we're super excited for you to kick off Kingwood Fit.
Yes.
And
it's coming this Saturday, Rex. So if you haven't signed up, you can still sign up.
The 9th of July.
It is July 9th.
When is can people still sign up for the next few weeks?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have signed up for a while just to kind of pull as many people in as we can influence and encourage. But yeah, so we meet, our long runs are on Saturday mornings, and we meet at Kingwood Christian Church. It is 3910 Westlake Houston Parkway. And we're going to meet on July 9th at 7 a.m. So, even if you haven't registered, you still can just come and check it out. Check out the group, come run with us, and see if it's a good fit.
Awesome. And where would people go to register?
usafit.com/Kingwood Fit, and register there.
Boom. And then you guys also have presentations on Saturdays.
We do. Yeah, we do try to.
There.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to get you guys out there. We have just different seminars, different people come. Gym folks coming to talk, encourage us that way. We also have, sports chiropractors coming out, nutritionists coming out, to kind of help talk about those different elements of running.
Yeah. So if you want to start working on your health, you want to start getting into running, Kingwood Fit is a great place to do it in. And have you accomplished your first half marathon or full marathon?
Exactly.
It's exciting stuff.
Let's do it.
So usafit.com
/Kingwood
/Kingwood Fit. Susie, thanks for jumping
Absolutely.
on the podcast with me today.
Thanks, Rex.
Awesome. Great job.